Enlightenment and Neoclassicism. The Enlightenment, also known as the Age of Reason, was an intellectual and cultural movement in the 18th century. It emphasized reason, science, and rationality over superstition and blind faith. Enlightenment thinkers like John Locke, Isaac Newton, and Voltaire challenged existing knowledge and promoted ideas of openness, investigation, and religious tolerance in Europe and the Americas. This period is often seen as a significant turning point in Western civilization, where enlightenment replaced the darkness of ignorance. Key Enlightenment ideas include rationalism, empiricism, progressivism, and cosmopolitanism. Rationalism. It emphasized human capacity for reason and knowledge acquisition, moving away from reliance on scripture and church authority. Empiricism argued that knowledge is derived from experience and direct observation of the world. Progressivism believed in human potential for continuous linear progression through reason and observation, a response to the upheaval of the English civil wars. Cosmopolitanism encouraged thinking of oneself as a global citizen, valuing reason over prejudice. Neoclassicism in art. Inspiration from Nicolas Poussin. Neoclassical artists drew inspiration from Nicolas Poussin, a French painter known for classicism in the 17th century. Ethical considerations. Neoclassicists believed that solid drawing and rational art were morally superior, emphasizing precision and clarity over sensuality. Drawing over painting. They prioritized drawing as more important than painting and aimed for perfectly smooth surfaces with no visible brush strokes. Art as a tool. During the brink of the French Revolution in 1789, neoclassical artists like Jacques-Louis David used art to call for clear thinking, self-sacrifice, and austerity fitting for the times. Connection to the Age of Reason. Neoclassicism emerged from Enlightenment philosophy, promoting rationality and control over destiny through the laws of nature. Neoclassical art is characterized by clear forms, sober colors, shallow space, strong vertical and horizontal lines, timeless subject matter, and a focus on classical or classicized contemporary themes. Denis Diderot. Denis Diderot was a renowned French philosopher, writer, and art critic, notable for his significant role during the Enlightenment. His life can be divided into 4 distinct phases, each contributing to his intellectual and literary legacy. Early struggles, spanning 1730s to 1740s. Diderot's journey began in the 1730s and 1740s when he faced financial hardship while trying to establish himself as a writer in Paris. He studied philosophy at a Jesuit college, briefly considered a clerical career, but ultimately pursued writing, a decision that led to his estrangement from his father. Intellectual ascent after 1749. After 1749, Diderot's life took an upward trajectory. His supervision of the groundbreaking encyclopedia project not only provided financial stability, but also earned him recognition as an Enlightenment writer, critic, and philosopher. This phase marked his transition into a prominent figure in the intellectual circles of the time. Intellectual celebrity post-encyclopedia. With the completion of the encyclopedia project in 1765, Diderot enjoyed newfound freedom to produce some of his most significant works, although many remained unpublished. This period solidified his status as an intellectual celebrity and allowed him to further develop his philosophical ideas. Patronage and political radicalism from 1773. In 1773, Empress Catherine the Great of Russia extended lucrative patronage to Diderot, relieving him of financial burdens. During this twilight phase of his life, he continued to expand on his earlier philosophical pursuits while incorporating elements of political radicalism into his thinking. Denis Diderot's life and work are a testament to his enduring influence on Enlightenment thought and his dedication to exploring diverse intellectual and philosophical realms. Voltaire. Voltaire, the pen name of François-Marie Douarouet, was a prominent French writer and public activist who played a pivotal role in shaping the Enlightenment of the 18th century. While Voltaire is renowned for his philosophical contributions, he possessed a unique relationship with philosophy that defied conventional boundaries. Voltaire's life and career. His life story is integral to understanding his philosophical impact. Voltaire's career choices and experiences were instrumental in shaping European philosophy. He was not just a philosopher, but a versatile writer who engaged with various literary forms, including plays, poems, novels, essays, histories, and scientific treatises. His immense body of work comprised over 20,000 letters and 2,000 books and pamphlets, establishing him as one of the first internationally acclaimed and commercially successful authors. Philosophical perspectives. Voltaire's philosophical views were diverse and multifaceted. While he produced numerous works that were explicitly philosophical in nature, he also directed his critical writings against established philosophers such as Leibniz, Malebranche, and Descartes. Notably, he challenged the philosophical pretensions of his contemporaries. One significant contribution of Voltaire was his distinction between science and philosophy. He fervently advocated for natural science as a counterpoint to what he viewed as futile philosophical inquiries. This distinction had a lasting impact on the trajectory of modern philosophy, influencing its development in subsequent years. Voltaire's enduring legacy lies in his role as an advocate for civil liberties and his fearless critique of religious dogma, intolerance, and the institutions of French Catholic monarchy. His magnum opus, Candide, exemplifies his satirical and critical approach, addressing various events, thinkers, and philosophies of his era. In summary, Voltaire's unconventional relationship with philosophy, coupled with his prolific literary output and fearless advocacy for civil liberties, left an indelible mark on the Enlightenment and European philosophy. Voltaire's Candide. Candide, published in 1759, stands as Voltaire's most renowned work, representing a scathing critique of metaphysical optimism. This philosophical novel reveals a world characterized by horrors and absurdity, challenging the optimistic philosophy espoused by German philosopher Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. Candide was influenced by the tumultuous events of the mid-18th century, including the devastating Lisbon earthquake of 1755, the outbreak of the brutal 7 Years' War in the German states, and the unjust execution of English Admiral John Byng. While often considered an exemplary Enlightenment text, it paradoxically satirizes the optimistic ideals of the Enlightenment itself. Voltaire's primary target is Leibniz's principle of sufficient reason, which asserts that everything must have a reason for being as it is, leading to the belief that the world is as good as it can possibly be. The narrative of Candide unfolds through 30 episodic chapters, which can be divided into two central schemes. The first scheme involves two divisions, with the protagonist's sojourn in El Dorado acting as an interlude. The second scheme comprises three parts, each delineated by its geographical setting. In the first scheme, the first half of the novel constitutes the rising action, while the final part resolves the narrative. This structure mirrors the theme of travel and quest found in adventure and picaresque novels. In the second scheme, the 30 chapters can be grouped into three parts, each consisting of 10 chapters set in different locales: Europe, the Americas, and Europe and the Ottoman Empire. This structure highlights the diverse settings and adventures experienced by the characters. Overall, Candide offers a poignant and satirical commentary on the human condition, theodicy, and the folly of unchecked optimism in the face of a world filled with absurdity and suffering. Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Jean-Jacques Rousseau, born in Geneva in 1712, was a philosopher, writer, and composer. His philosophical ideas left a profound mark on the Enlightenment era throughout Europe, influencing aspects of the French Revolution and contributing to the development of modern political, economic, and educational thought. Rousseau stood apart as the least academically inclined among modern philosophers but wielded considerable influence. He played a pivotal role in redirecting political and ethical thought in new directions. His impact extended to matters of taste, beginning with music and expanding to other arts. He instigated significant changes in how parents approached child rearing and education. Rousseau encouraged the expression of emotion over polite restraint in matters of friendship and love. He introduced a form of religious sentiment among those who had moved away from religious dogma, and he kindled a deep appreciation for the beauty of nature while making liberty a universal aspiration. Rousseau's philosophical works, particularly Discourse on Inequality and The Social Contract, became foundational texts in modern political and social thought. His sentimental novel, Julie or the New Heloise, played a vital role in the development of pre-Romanticism and Romanticism in the realm of fiction. Emile, or On Education, was a significant educational treatise exploring an individual's role within society. Rousseau's autobiographical writings, including the posthumously published Confessions and the unfinished Reveries of the Solitary Walker, epitomize the late 18th century age of sensibility. These writings emphasized subjectivity and introspection, characteristics that would later define modern literature. Rousseau's friendship with fellow philosopher Denis Diderot, which began in 1742, led to Rousseau detailing Diderot's romantic tribulations in his Confessions. During the French Revolution, Rousseau gained immense popularity among members of the Jacobin Club. In recognition of his contributions, he was interred as a national hero in the Pantheon in Paris in 1794, 16 years after his passing. Emile, or On Education. Emile, or On Education is a significant treatise on the nature of education and the essence of human nature, authored by Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Rousseau regarded it as his best and most important work. Upon its initial publication in 1762, the book faced controversy and condemnation due to a section titled Profession of Faith of the Savoyard Vicar, leading to its banishment in Paris and Geneva and even public burnings. Interestingly, during the French Revolution, Emile served as the inspiration for the development of a new national education system. The book is structured into 5 distinct books, each with a specific focus. The first 3 books are dedicated to the upbringing and education of the child, Emile, while the 4th book delves into the adolescent phase. The 5th book outlines the education of Emile's female counterpart, Sophie, and explores Emile's roles in domestic and civic life. Emile centers around Rousseau's experiment in educating a natural and untarnished child for existence in a society from which conventional man is estranged. Emile is deliberately removed from mainstream society and placed in a controlled environment with his tutor, creating a small society consisting solely of the child and his mentor. The introduction of societal elements into this isolated environment is meticulously orchestrated by the tutor, based on his judgment of Emile's readiness to grasp these concepts. Rousseau's overarching objective is to demonstrate how a natural education, distinct from the artificial and rigid education provided by society, can foster Emile's social, moral, and rational development while preserving his innate nature. This approach ensures that Emile becomes a well-rounded individual who can adapt to various situations as he is educated to be a man rather than a predetermined societal role such as a priest, soldier, or attorney. Theism and Deism. Theism encompasses the belief in the existence of a supreme being or deities. In everyday language, it typically refers to the traditional concept of God found in monotheistic religions, referred to as classical theism, or the belief in gods within polytheistic faiths. Theism involves a belief in God or gods and does not entail the rejection of divine revelation, as is characteristic of Deism. Atheism and Agnosticism. Atheism, in contrast, is generally considered as the absence of belief in theism, encompassing non-acceptance or outright rejection of the belief in God or gods. Agnosticism takes the position that the existence of any deity is either unknown or unknowable. Deism. Deism, derived from the term God, is a philosophical stance and rationalistic theology that notably rejects divine revelation as a source of knowledge about the divine. Instead, it asserts that empirical reason and the observation of the natural world are the sole logical, reliable, and sufficient means to conclude the existence of a supreme being responsible for creating the universe. In simpler terms, Deism is the belief in God based solely on rational thought, devoid of reliance on revealed religions or religious authority. Deism strongly emphasizes the concept of natural theology, asserting that God's existence is evident through nature. Emerging in the 17th century and gaining prominence during the Age of Enlightenment, particularly in 18th century Western Europe and North America, Deism was characterized by the critical rejection of various religious texts associated with organized religions. Deists advocated for relying solely on truths that could be established through reason as the exclusive source of divine knowledge. These thinkers, referred to as deists, gave rise to the philosophical and theological position known as Deism. While it experienced a decline by the late 18th century, Deism witnessed a revival in the early 19th century. Certain aspects of Deism persisted within other intellectual and spiritual movements, such as Unitarianism, and continue to have proponents today.